What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I just got back in the mail, and I'm going to give you the profile of each of those players that I got back. So let's just jump right into this and get to the first one. And the first one is returned from former Atlanta Brave and Toronto Blue Jay Jim Acker on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I must also mention he is a University of Texas great as well on their pitching staff for the Longhorns. So let me tell you a little bit about Jim Acker. Jim Acker grew up in Texas, where he played high school baseball in Texas, and as mentioned, he played for the University of Texas at Austin for the Longhorns. He was drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the first round, 21st overall in the 1980 draft. Acker would pitch 1980, 81, and 82 in the Braves system. However, in the offseason in 1982, he would be selected by the Toronto Blue Jays in the Rule 5 draft, which would require him to be on the Major League roster of the Blue Jays. He made his debut with the Blue Jays in 1983, and he actually had 5 wins and 1 loss during his tenure with the Blue Jays that year as a rookie. However, his ERA was about 4.3, which wasn't the greatest, and he appeared in 38 games, starting 5 of them that year. He would return in 1984 as part of the bullpen for the Blue Jays, appearing in 32 games, going 3-5. However, in 1985, he would go 7-2 with an immaculate 3.2 ERA in 61 innings pitched for the Blue Jays in 1985. In 1986, he would start the year with the Blue Jays. However, mid-season, he would get traded to the Atlanta Braves, the team that originally had drafted him in 1980. Well, this was kind of a change for Acker because the Braves decided to make him a starter for the remainder of the 86 season, where he appeared in 14 games as a starter out of the 21 that he appeared in. Well, he finished here with a 3-8 record with the Braves that year, but going back into 1987 with the Braves, he would return to the bullpen, appearing in 68 games that year for the Braves, finishing the year with a 4-9 record. 1988 would be a very similar season. Unfortunately, he only appeared in 21 games that year, so I would assume there were some injury issues in the 88 season. And in 1989, he would appear in 59 games with an immaculate 2.67 ERA for the Braves, before being traded again mid-season back to the Toronto Blue Jays. So his second tenure with the Blue Jays, so to speak. He would spend the 1989, 90, and 91 season with the Blue Jays out of their bullpen, appearing in 50-plus games in both 1990 and 91 for the Blue Jays. Well, after the 91 season, the Blue Jays did not offer him a contract, and as many of you know, the Blue Jays went on to win the World Series in 1992, and at 33, Acker signed a contract with the Seattle Mariners. Well, in 92, he spent 17 games with Seattle that year, pitching out of the bullpen. He also spent a couple games in the minor leagues at their AAA affiliate, and after the 92 season, the Mariners let him go, and he signed a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers. He did not appear in the majors with the Texas Rangers in 1993, and he spent only 6 games in AAA before he hung it up and retired from baseball. A couple neat trivia things about Jim Acker is during his entire major league career, he pitched 904 innings, actually 904.1 innings, and only committed 2 errors his entire career in the major leagues. So he had a .992 fielding percentage for a pitcher, which that's pretty impressive that he only had 2 errors during his entire pitching career. Another notable thing about Jim Acker is that his brother is actually Bill Acker, who is also a Texas Longhorn legend in football. Bill Acker would go on to play in the NFL for the St. Louis Cardinals football team, now the Arizona Cardinals, and also the Kansas City Chiefs. So a neat little trivia fact that his brother played at the same college that he played baseball at. So I want to thank Mr. Acker. Never gotten his autograph before. So very nice addition to the collection. All right, so this next one actually is a teammate of Jim Acker, and that is former Atlanta Brave Paul Assenmacher on 1, 2, and I actually had this minor league card of him, 3, and I actually had a 4th one in there that he did not sign. I don't know if 3 is the limit, or maybe he just signs only a couple, but he did not sign the 86 Donruss rookies, which is fine. I'll just put it back in the set and not worry about that, but I'm very happy to get these 3 signed, especially this minor league one, because I just randomly happen to have that card in my collection. I don't have the set or anything like that, but I just, randomly happen to have that. And as many of you know, I've talked about this a few times on the channel. I really like the 86 Topps Traded set, so another nice one to get signed out of the 86 Topps Traded set. So let me tell you a little bit about Paul Assenmacher and his career in baseball. Assenmacher, a Michigan native, grew up in Michigan and played high school baseball and college baseball at Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He signed as a minor league free agent with the Atlanta Braves in 1983, and he worked his way up through the Braves minor league system till he got his call up to the majors in 1986, which is, the rookie card there, and that, I believe, might be an 86. Assenmacher got his call up in 1986. This is actually an 85 Durham Bulls card, and he made his debut with the Braves, compiling a 7-win and 3-loss record with an immaculate 2.50 ERA in 61 appearances for the Braves in 1986. In 1987, he would be part of the bullpen. However, his ERA would jump over 5 in the 52 appearances that he made that year. In 1988, he would again return to the Braves bullpen, and his ERA would only be 3.06 in 64 games pitched, with an 8-win and 7-loss record that year. In 89, he would return to the Braves and appear in 49 games for them that year until a mid-season trade when he was actually shipped to the Chicago Cubs, where he would finish out the year with 14 games. In 1990, he would return to the Cubs, and he would go 7-2 with a 2.80 ERA, appearing in 74 games for the Cubs that year, and actually started a game. He only started 1 game his entire career, and that was that year with the Cubs. Well, the next year he would go back to the Cubs, and he'd have a 3.24 ERA, appearing in 75 games. He would match his 7 wins, but he would have 8 losses that year as well. In 1992, he would appear in 70 games and split his record at 4-4. And in 1993, he would start the year at the Cubs as well. However, he would find himself traded again to the New York Yankees to finish out the year. After 1993, the Chicago White Sox signed him to a deal. However, he only spent 1 year with the Chicago White Sox before he moved on to the Cleveland Indians in 1995. He would spend 1995 through 1999 on the Cleveland Indians pitching staff. And at the age of 38 in 1999, he would retire from baseball after a 14-year career in the major leagues. As a lefty specialist, Assenmacher was one of the best of the 90s. He compiled a 61 win and 44 loss record over his 14-year career, and he had an immaculate 3.53 ERA for his entire career. So very, very happy to get Mr. Assenmacher. I've seen a lot of people getting him back lately. I think he was maybe catching up on his mail or whatever, but very happy to add him to the collection. And like I said, him and Jim Acker were teammates for a short period of time together on the Braves. All right, moving on to the last one is a return from a former Philadelphia Philly, Rick Schu on 1. A second makes 2. A third as a Detroit Tiger. And of course, a fourth for my all-time Orioles, Crown Orioles set. Very nice collection of cards here, as a Philly, as an Oriole, and as a Tiger. So let me tell you about Rick Schu and his career in Major League Baseball. Rick Schu actually was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. However, he relocated to California, where he was signed as an amateur free agent out of Del Campo High School by the Phillies. Schu worked his way through the minor leagues until eventually making his major league debut on September 1st, 1984 at Veterans Stadium for the Phillies. Going into the 1985 season, he batted .284 for their AAA affiliate before being called up to the majors in May of 1985. Primarily used as a backup to Mike Schmidt and also at first base, Schu never really was a full-time player. He hit .252 with 7 home runs in 1985, and in 1986 he was back on the Phillies in a part-time role, appearing in 92 games that year for the Phillies. He would repeat 1987 as a backup utility player, appearing in 92 games with the Phillies. However, after the 1987 season, the Phillies decided to trade him, along with Keith Hughes and Jeff Stone, to the Baltimore Orioles. He would play part-time again for the Orioles in 1988, and then going into the 1989 season, he returned to Baltimore but only appeared in 1 game before his contract was purchased by the Detroit Tigers in May of 1989. He would spend the entire season with Detroit as a backup utility player. However, after the 1989 season, he was released by the Tigers and he signed with the California Angels. He would spend 1 year with the California Angels, and in 1991, the Angels would release him. However, he wouldn't stay unemployed long, as he would sign with the Phillies in the 91 season and finish the year out with them. In 1992, he would return to the Phillies. However, that year, they sent him to their AAA affiliate, where he appeared in 111 games, playing full-time in AAA at the age of 30 years old. Well, from 1993 and 1994, he decided to take his talents overseas and play in the Nippon Professional Japanese League in Japan. After a couple successful seasons in Japan, he would return in 1995 to sign a deal with the Rangers. However, he never made an appearance with the Rangers, appearing in 110 games for their AAA affiliate. After the 95 season, he would sign with the Montreal Expos in 1996, and he would appear in 116 games at 34 years old for the Expos, and would get a call-up in 1996 for 1 game at 34 years old with the Expos. He would resign the next year at the Expos. However, they would assign him to AAA, and he would only appear in 8 games for the Expos that year in 1997. After he retired as a player, he would then get into coaching in 2004 for the Arizona Diamondbacks, where he would stay working for the Diamondbacks, and in 2007 he would be named the hitting coach of the Arizona Diamondbacks, a role that he kept until May of 2009. After being let go by the Diamondbacks in 2009, the Washington Nationals, which remember are the Expos, announced that Schu would be a roving hitting instructor for their organization. After a few seasons as a rover, he became the hitting coach in 2013 and remained as the Washington Nationals hitting coach through the 2017 season. After the 2017 season, he was hired as the assistant hitting coach for the San Francisco Giants, a position that he held up until 2019. And when Gabe Kapler took over as the manager of the Giants, Mr. Schu was no longer retained under Gabe Kapler. So Rick Schu, another one of those guys that has probably a million stories that he could tell you, from being a player in the major leagues to being a player in Japanese baseball to being a hitting coach. This is one of those lifetime baseball guys, and I'm so happy to add his autograph to my collection. Adding another one to my Baltimore Orioles all-time set. I also want to thank Paul Assenmacher for signing these cards, especially this awesome Durham Bulls card from way back when. I also want to thank his teammate, Jim Acker, for hooking me up as well with all these nice autographs on these various cards. With the exception of the minor league card and the Orioles card, most of these cards are pretty accessible. These guys all played during an era where they made tons of cards. For example, if you bought a 1988 Donruss set or an 87 Donruss set, these guys would all be in there. So, very happy to add all these to my collection. They all look great, signed in a nice blue Sharpie. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode, and as always, happy collecting.